The older you get, the harder it is to really connect with somebody. However, that's such a big target for scammers. You're an easy mark with somebody who's highly manipulative, depends on you being lonely to scam you from your money. Welcome to my Broken to Brave podcast. I'm Donna Barnes. Love scams are not anything new, but they've been getting a new resurgence with these Bitcoin machines. Put money into it and it becomes an electric money, and there's no record of it and you can't get it back. Because I saw a story on the news the other day that really touched my heart. A woman in a convenience store noticed an older woman putting a lot of cash into one of those Bitcoin machines, and she said something. And she stopped her, and the guy from the store went over and stopped her, and they called the police. And yeah, it turned out that she'd been scammed. Bitcoin machines have opened up a whole new world for scammers. So if anyone ever asks you that they need you to send them money and to put it into a Bitcoin machine, that should be a massive red flag that you need to get out of that relationship and that it's not a real relationship. And honestly, I know what I'm talking about. Well over a decade ago, I met a guy on OkCupid who had lots of pictures, very handsome, had pictures of him and his dog, and just seemed like the greatest guy. This was in New York. And he said that he was in London working on a project. He was an architect and very altruistic, right? He was building a building for people that, needed additional housing, right? Like public housing. So we started talking on the phone. And like I said, this was more than a decade ago. So Zoom wasn't really prevalent yet. Skype was just kind of even new. We didn't video chat. We were just talking on the phone, but quite a bit. And I said to a lot of my friends, this guy is either the most romantic man I've ever met or the most manipulative. And unfortunately, it turned out to be the most manipulative, because then at some point, of course, he was having problems with his company, his project, and he asked me for $5,000. And because I coach people, I thought, okay, let me see where this is going. So I said to him, oh no, I don't know that I could get that. Like, why? But meanwhile, my bank was HSBC, which is the World Bank. I called them because then he came back to me and he said, well, here, I can send you the money and you can, cash it. Like he said, I'll send you a check. You can cash it and then send it to me through Western Union because the fees are cheaper from the United States than in the UK. I talked to him as if I was going to do it because I wanted to see where it was going, which is why I'm talking to you about it. Because so I called HSBC Bank, which is the World Bank, because he had said to me, I'll send you a check. And I said, well, if you're in London, there's an HSBC there. You could just go make a deposit. Right. So HSBC said, well, when you deposit an international check, they put a 5-day hold on it. Now, granted, this was 10 years ago. I don't know what it is now. But if I had deposited their check and withdrew the money and then wired it to them, and then that check did not clear, it would have cost me $5,000. Right. And that's exactly why I wanted to talk about this, because that's nothing compared to the amounts of thousands and thousands and thousands, like tens of thousands of dollars, even hundreds of $1,000 in some cases, that romance scams are getting away from really lonely people, mostly women, but some men too, looking for love. Unfortunately, women live longer than men, right? And I can't even tell you how many people have told me that they were married to the love of their life, but he died and now they're alone and they would love to find somebody. And I'm mostly talking about that as a matchmaker. People that came to me because they were finally ready to find somebody. And by the way, that's a much safer way to find somebody. You can find people online, but if you're going to spend money on meeting someone or like a new relationship, matchmaking is absolutely the best way to do that, because there's no guarantees that you'll connect with somebody, but at least they'll be reputable people who are not looking to scam you. Because the whole seduction of all these different apps and things like that is most people don't connect with somebody, right? They say it's a numbers game. You got to go through all these different profiles and then you finally connect with somebody who seems really fabulous. Wow. And these guys are really good at it. They steal pictures of people that are very attractive. And here's a great little tip. If you open up a Google page, and if you're not good with technology, ask one of your kids or somebody else's kids, or get somebody to show you, but open up a Google page. In the search bar, there's a little camera. And most people don't know that. If you click that camera, you can upload an image and search the internet for that image. And the guy that was scamming me, I did that because I learned about that time. I want to say this was in like 2012. I uploaded his picture and it was this guy's Facebook page. He was a radio personality in San Francisco. I was in New York. And I felt like I knew him, right? Because this guy had lots of pictures. You wouldn't think that that's a scammer, right? Somebody who's put lots of pictures and took a lot of time to write their profile. And now there's ChatGPT, so they write much better. One of the classic tales is if their English isn't perfect, but yet they say they're American. But anyway, my point is like if someone has stolen someone else's picture, upload it into that camera icon on a Google search bar and search Google for it. If that's an exact picture, you'll find the exact picture and the link to the source of where it came from. Because that's what happened to me. This guy's name was actually Doug, who was a radio personality in San Francisco. And I sent him a Facebook message and said, hey, I just want to let you know this guy is using your picture. Do some investigating, and especially if your guy is asking you for money, or your girl, because that happens too. When you've had a life partner, you've spent a life with somebody, it breaks my heart when you lose that person and now you're alone. And that's such a big source of prey for a scammer who knows that you're lonely, who doesn't mind talking to you and really seducing you and then asking you for money. And I get the allure of that. I really do. It's so hard to connect with somebody, but I would much rather encourage you to get out and be social, take a class, figure out something that you like to do so that you're not subjecting yourself to somebody that you don't really know. Yes, if you want to connect with somebody, you can do it online. But make sure you meet them in person. You've spent a lot of time with them. You've met their family and friends. You know who they are. You've been dating them for a minimum of 3, ideally 6 months or a year. And you know that they are genuinely interested in you and not your money. Because this particular guy, I said to him, I Googled you. I found nothing. He said he was an architect. So he created a LinkedIn page, but he had no connections. Right? That's a massive red flag. Whoever the person is, verify, trust but verify, right? They say, right? Like verify that the stuff they're telling you is actually true. And if they say they have kids or they say they have, ask to meet them in person. And at the very least, you need to meet your romantic interest in person. Because unfortunately, a lot of people send money just because, look, it's nice to have a pen pal, right? It's nice to have someone just to communicate with, just to know that someone's there, that someone cares, someone wants to listen. I get all of that, but you can find that with somebody who is actually also probably lost somebody and really looking to spend time with somebody. And the best way to do that is in real life. Go out to parties. If someone invites you to something, go, because you never know who you might meet. And look for events in your area of things that are going on with your age demographic. There's usually all sorts of community events, and actually Meetup.com, I think it's called, has all sorts of events and things. Like scroll that. That's a fairly reputable site of actual events that are going on in your city. That is 100% the best way. Unfortunately, people feel ashamed that they've fallen victim to this, so they don't want to tell anybody. But that's why I thought it was so important to talk about, because before you send that money, love yourself first and love the people in your life enough to run it by them. Because actually, years ago, I was dating a guy whose mother called him, was all upset because his son, right, so her grandson, someone called and said that he'd gotten into trouble and he was arrested and he needed money. And she believed it and she was ready to send money. But thankfully, she called her son first, right, who called his son and found out that it wasn't true. And they stopped it from happening. So that's what I'm suggesting to you. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Anybody who's legitimate doesn't mind you asking questions. And yeah, they might say, oh, there's this shame of they don't want people to know that they're asking for money. But like, what do you have to hide? You know, I mean, nobody likes to ask for money. It's hard to ask for money. But if you're genuinely in need of help, you should be open about it. Trust, but verify. I know it's just really hard to connect with somebody like that. And it feels really good when you do. If I'm honest, when I found out that guy was like, he said his name was Jack, that Jack didn't exist, was a scammer. Like, I kind of missed him, right? Because I mean, he had spent quite a while talking to me. So I get it. I really get it. And that's why I'm talking about it. Falling in love with somebody and really connecting with somebody is harder as you get older. However, do not financially send money or Bitcoin or anything like that to anyone. You can't send any money. It's not about that. If you really connect with somebody, it's not about money. And they should have a network of people in their own life that they should go to first, right? Honestly, I have two brothers who are both very successful and love me very much. If I absolutely have to, that's who I go to. And I think that's how most people are, right? That's what friends are for. Family is for, is what I meant to say. But like, yeah, friends too. Not new romantic partners that really don't know you that well. If you've met someone like that, Google their picture and talk to other people in your life and tell them who this person is. Have met them in person and ask to meet their family in person. And if they don't have family, ask to meet their friends. And if they say they don't have any friends, that is a massive red flag on all sorts of levels, whether they're a scammer or not, because especially older in life, I mean, you should have lots of friends, even if they're just acquaintances. If someone has no friends, it tells you what kind of person they are. Why doesn't anybody want to hang around with them? And you shouldn't either. Thanks for listening. I'm here for coaching. If you've met somebody and you really have doubts and questions, I'm really good at getting to the bottom of stuff. So I am here for coaching. Thanks for watching. I do wish you love, just from the right person. I'll see you in my next episode.